Welcome back to Church Chat. If you've been with us the last few weeks, you know that we are focusing on important, pivotal moments in the Bible, those moments of transition where some monumental event happens, and after that, things change. I won't go through the whole list that we've covered, but I will remind you that last week we were on the mountainside with Moses at the burning bush, and that he was on his way to deliver the Israelites from Egypt. So that was our last pivotal moment, our last big transition. And Exodus has lots of important moments, such as Moses going up on Mount Sinai, receiving the law of Moses. There's the golden calf. There's the moment when they're short of water and they complain and God provides it. They receive manna, all of that. And so for 40 years, the situation, the way of living, is pretty much the same. And I at first thought that I would choose when they arrive just outside the Promised Land and they cross the Jordan River, because it's a reflection of when they crossed the Red Sea. They crossed the Red Sea on dry ground. They crossed the Jordan River on dry ground. But I chose a different passage that happens right after that because it says some surprising things. And it is marked by a transition from the books of Moses, the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, the Torah. And the Jews actually put Joshua and Judges in with the prophets. So if you can remember the time before, you will notice that this book is markedly thicker. So this is the Robert Alter's translation of the Jewish prophets. And I'm going to share with you the moment after they've crossed over. And what they do is remarkable, because we might sort of imagine that life has continued in the Jewish way through all of those 40 years. And you may remember we talked about the covenant with Abraham and how it was passed down from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Well, apparently when they were in the wilderness, they did not practice circumcision. So for a whole generation, they didn't abide by the covenant of Abraham, supposedly because they were in the wilderness. And so once they cross over the Jordan River into Canaan, then they renew that covenant and they begin observing the Passover. So I'll share these words again in the Robert Alter's translation of the Hebrew Bible. And it says things that are kind of surprising about what they had done and what they had not done. So this is from Joshua chapter 5, and I'm beginning at verse 6. For 40 years did the Israelites go in the wilderness until the whole generation was finished. The men of war coming out of Egypt, who had not heeded the Lord's voice, as the Lord had vowed to them not to show them the land that the Lord had vowed to their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. And their sons he put up in their stead. Them did Joshua circumcise, for they were uncircumcised, as they had not been circumcised on the way. As it happened, when the whole nation had finished being circumcised, they remained in their place until they were revived. And the Lord said to Joshua, I have rolled away from you the shame of Egypt. And the name of the place has been called Gilgal to this day. Now, what happens in the name of this word Gilgal? It's a play on the word roll, because it can also mean circle or wheel or cycle, things like that. So he says, I have rolled away your shame, and they named the place Circle or Gilgal. And the Israelites encamped at Gilgal and performed the Passover rite on the 14th day of the month in the evening on the plains of Jericho. So they crossed over, they're in Jericho, and they're remembering how they started their exodus with Passover. And they ate from the yield of the land from the day after Passover, the Passover sacrifice, flatbread and parched grain on that very day. And the manna ceased on the day after, when they ate from the yield of the land, and the Israelites no longer had manna. So you remember all through their journey in the wilderness, they had complained about not having enough to eat, and the Lord had provided manna. Well, this is a pivotal moment. This is a transition. No more manna. They have to rely on what's provided by the land. And they ate from the produce of the land of Canaan in that year. So a pivotal moment when their life changes from this wilderness existence to where they are trying to observe all the rules, all the commandments, all the covenants that God had provided. They transition from manna to the produce of Canaan. And the next thing that happens in the book of Joshua is they have that battle at the city of Jericho, and the Lord delivers Jericho into their hands. But soon after that, they go to 2 hills. And on that hill, the people have to decide if they are for the Lord or against him. And they renew the covenant, they renew their covenant to God, and they prepare for their life in this new land. So lots of transitional, pivotal moments as they go from the wilderness to the promised land. And so for the next many generations, they live in the promised land, and they observe the law. The tabernacle goes from holy site to holy site. They observe the festivals, and they live this tribal life, trying to adjust to living in Canaan. And so that is the existence they have after this pivotal moment. And then next time we will see how that all transitions again to a different type of living, a different way of relating to God, a different way of living their faith. So I hope you have found these transitions helpful. They give you an idea of some of the movements in the Bible. And we are expecting a storm tonight and tomorrow. So that will give you a chance to read in the Bible and perhaps look over this passage from Joshua. We have enough transitional moments to bring us to the season of Lent. And then we ourselves will pivot. We will transition to some devotions that I will provide, and we will look at those. I'll invite Lynn and Randy back, and we will be looking at the compassionate Jesus. And so that's what we'll be doing for Lent. But for the next few weeks, we will be looking at more transitions and pivotal moments. Hope you stay warm. Hope you stay safe. May God bless you.